Let's talk about a headache pretty much every virtual environment admin knows all too well: resource contention. So today, we are going to demystify VMware resource pools. I'll show you exactly how to bring some much-needed harmony to your virtual machine world. Let's dive right in.
So, let me ask you something. Does it ever feel like your virtual machines are locked in this constant, invisible tug of war? You know, one minute everything is running just fine, and the next, a really critical application is just sluggish, and you have no idea why. Well, that's the classic sign that your VMs are fighting over the same limited pool of CPU and memory. And the really frustrating part? It's when you finally trace the problem back to something you'd never expect. Just imagine a developer spins up this small, seemingly harmless test VM, but it suddenly goes rogue, starts gobbling up a huge amount of resources, and slows your most important revenue-generating production app to a crawl. It is an absolute nightmare scenario, and it's a way more common one than you'd think. But what if you could bring some order to all that chaos? Well, the solution is to start thinking of yourself not just as an admin, but as a digital landlord. Seriously, this simple shift in your mindset is the absolute key to understanding how to manage all your resources effectively.
Okay, let's really build out this analogy, because it's a good one. Picture your entire server cluster. I'm talking all those hosts, all that power, as one big apartment building. The building's shared utilities, the main power grid, the water supply, that's your CPU and memory. They're the resources everyone in the building needs to function.
So, who lives in this building? Your virtual machines, of course. They're the tenants. And just like in a real apartment building, if you don't have any rules, it is complete and utter chaos. You'd have one tenant blasting music all night, another one using up all the hot water. It just wouldn't work. And that's exactly where the landlord and the resource pool steps in. And this analogy perfectly illustrates the official definition. A resource pool is really just a container. It logically separates your tenants, your VMs, into different groups. It's what allows you, the landlord, to partition the building's CPU and memory and set some really clear rules for how those resources get used. It's your number one tool for managing the whole building. So as this new digital landlord, what tools do you actually have in your tool belt? Well, it really just comes down to 3 fundamental rules you can set for your tenants. These are shares, reservations, and limits. Let's break down exactly what each one of those does. All right, first up, we've got shares. Now, the technical definition says this determines the relative priority for VMs when there's contention. When everybody wants the resources at the exact same time. You can think of it as a priority level, high, normal, or low. But what does that actually mean inside our apartment building? This is a great way to think about it. Imagine a power outage hits your building, and the backup generator can only power a few apartments. Who gets priority? Is it the quiet tenant running a critical home business, or is it the noisy party animal up in the penthouse? Well, shares let you decide that the business tenant always gets power first. That, right there, is prioritization. Okay, next rule, reservation. This one is all about a guarantee. It ensures that a VM or a whole group of VMs will always have a certain minimum amount of CPU or memory available to them, no matter what else is happening. And to bring that back to our landlord view, a reservation is what guarantees your critical business tenant always has enough hot water for their morning coffee, even if every single other tenant in the building decides to take a long shower at the exact same time. It's that non-negotiable minimum that protects your most important workloads. And our third and final rule is the limit. This one is pretty straightforward. It sets a hard maximum cap on the resources a VM or a pool can use. They can never go above this ceiling. Period. End of story. In our landlord analogy, this is you finally putting your foot down. You're telling that party animal tenant that, look, no matter how big their party gets, they are not allowed to use more than their allotted share of the building's electricity. This is what prevents them from causing a brownout for everybody else. It's all about preventing resource abuse. Okay, so we've got our 3 landlord rules down: shares, reservations, and limits. Now let's see how they all come together to create a kind of lease agreement in practice for our different types of tenants. This table is a perfect example of how this works. For a high-priority production pool, these are our important business tenants. We give them high shares for top priority. We reserve 50% of their memory so they're always stable. But we leave their limit as unlimited so they can burst and use more resources if they're available. Now, on the flip side, for the low-priority dev/test pool, our noisy party animals, we give them low shares, 0 reservation, and we slap a hard limit on their CPU. This setup ensures they can never disrupt our production tenant. And actually implementing this is surprisingly simple. It's really just a few steps. You create the pool, you name it and set your rules, the shares, reservations, and limits. Then you assign your VMs, your tenants, to it. And then, and this part is crucial, you monitor and tune those settings over time as the building's needs change. But hold on, before you go off and start creating resource pools for absolutely everything, there are some critical rules for you, the rule maker. Being a good digital landlord means avoiding some pretty common mistakes that can actually make things a whole lot worse. If you only take one single thing away from this whole explainer, please let it be this. Resource pools are not just organizational folders in vCenter, they are active management tools. Simply creating one with the default settings can unintentionally create resource battles where none existed before. You have to be deliberate about this. So let's just quickly recap the key warnings. First, avoid using pools just to tidy up your inventory. Second, tune your settings carefully, because a bad configuration can cause serious performance problems. You could even set reservations so high that you can't even power on new VMs. And finally, they really work best when you pair them with DRS. That's the Distributed Resource Scheduler, which acts like an automated building manager, balancing workloads across your entire cluster. So after all that, why go through the trouble? Well, the goal is crystal clear. It's about prioritization, making sure your most important VMs always get what they need when they need it. It's about budgeting, so you can enforce resource limits for different departments or even clients. And finally, it's about a logical organization that actually means something for performance. Which leaves us with one final question for you to think about. I want you to take a look at your own virtual environment. As the digital landlord, are the rules you have in place, or maybe the lack of rules, actually helping your tenants thrive? Or are they unintentionally causing chaos in the building? The power to create that harmony is right in your hands.